First of all, we are in the downtrend. That's number one. Secondly, like somewhere here, we said that we're going to attempt to rally at least to the resistance. We did. Once we touched the resistance, supply came in, we said this inability of this up bar to overcome the resistance is bearish and should be followed by a bearish price action, which happened on the next bar, and then which happened into the lower high. Then we have the drift here or a bearish feather, which suggests increase of the momentum on the breakdown of this level with the increased downward spread. Everything happened the same way. By the way, I think we did say that there might be an opportunity here for a really good intraday or short-term swing trade on the increased supply, and that happened. And then we said that the way how the aggression happens here, we need to come to some kind of oversold condition. We're here, and we most likely are going to be retesting these lows right here. And we are right in this target zone. So that was the analysis before. Now that we're here, William, I mean, like, there might be an argument of like, yeah, there might be some kind of continuation there. What are your thoughts on gold? Should we continue still to the downside? Are we finding some kind of support here? What's your
technically we're springing. Technically we are certainly springing this. Well, I can't draw with the mouse. Technically we're springing, and then you'd have to ask yourself everything, all this wonderful analysis, and this area over here I found so intriguing. Every up bar increases, but then every down bar increases, engulfing the previous up bar. It's like checked every time, and this is a signal now. You know, this kind of action.
Let me increase the size here. Just this is such a great point. Yeah, this is such a great point. So are we talking about like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, something like this?
Yeah, just wonderful price action. If you can read that, I mean, every time we try, so the buying's trying to, so this is a breakout. This tries to break out. This tries to break out. Every time it's engulfed. It's engulfed. It's engulfed, with the selling actually increasing every time.
This is fantastic. This is such a great material right here, guys. I mean, like, and such an analogous price action. And I would say that this one right here, 1 and 2, this bar, even though like, oh, maybe it doesn't enclose, you know, the previous bar number 1. But look at the action that comes after that. That bearish feather, you know, and this drift of the price to the downside on diminishing volume signature. We again study this type of patterns, you know, in WTC1. And it just the same, the 2 is just prolonged. It's just like the same price action as a single bar 2, but it's just like prolonging so many bars here.
It's just it's just a lovely little price action here. The market is telling us on this one here, we're going lower. I mean, this isn't nice price action. Do you want to explain this feather in here, Roman?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the background. And the background, your long-term background is to the downside. Your short-term background just came out of the sign of weakness. So there is a weakness here around this. This is the place where finally, like if here we still have like emergence of the supply, here we don't have emergence of the supply, but increased result to the downside that we're observing from 1 to 2 and then into 3. But 3 is pretty kind of like showing us that with the long-term background to the downside, we're developing also a short-term background confirmation that we're going to continue. And then what happens after that? Lower high, and then after that, whoever wanted to sell, they sold.
Yeah.
Whoever wanted.
Yeah. So this up bar with this volume is that's an aberration. This shouldn't be occurring. And then preceded by this. Wow.
And I mean, like
shouting at you, lower prices.
I think the key to the volume signature, because there is a lot of questions that I'm being asked about like this price action. Why is the volume signature so low? Why are we drifting, as you say, like, you know, into the support? Well, you have to think about what has happened prior to this. And these 2 bars are really great representation of up bar, buyers bought, down bar, sellers sold. So what happens after this? a period of inactivity where everybody did have done what they need to do,
Yeah.
and then they just go away. And with that, the volume signature goes down. But the key, again, to me, in this type of the scenarios, and we've just discussed the apex in the S&P. What did I say, guys? When we said that both supply and demand are going down, what is the most important thing? It's the result. So you look at the result. What is the result? A sign of weakness, a low or high. Structurally, that's bearish. And then the price comes to the support, still bearish. So then that's basically your bearish feather or your drift.
Yeah.
And then your expectation is that supply is going to increase and momentum is going to increase just because of the background. I thought that was actually, pretty easy to interpret, in terms of the
Yeah.
continuation to the
Yeah.
downside. But what
Um,
is your view now, just like in general view on gold?
so in general, so let's talk about, everyone should be familiar what a spring is, and this certainly is a spring. And then we have to look at the market and ask yourself, would you trade this spring? And then you have to look at the advance to this structural area and look at the volume increasing. I mean, that's that supply coming in, breaking structural areas. Yes, we do come down to here. Now, it is a little bit interesting because we have encountered buying at the first structural support level. So this is our buying zone, in here. I mean, this is a little bit large, but this is our first um, level support, and we have encountered some buying. Now, would I trade this spring, Roman? I wouldn't. I couldn't trade
Yeah,
this spring
I know.
purely because of the back. I mean, look at this. Look at this approach. I mean, there's volumes increasing here to downside. We're breaking structural
Mhm.
areas. We found an area where we should find some buying. Yeah, and we have found some buying, but this would be a low odds spring in a confirmed downtrend with which ends, climactic. And then we have all of this actions and we're breaking structural areas. All I see here is negativity from here. Yes, we have found some buying. We may rally, but I mean, unlikely we get to this area, I'd say. It's possible, of course, but I would be expecting a test into here or deep into this bar over here, Roman.
Yeah, I think
So
we
this,
should see lower prices
yeah,
with the maybe like temporary stop in,
yeah. I mean,
attempt
we
to.
could get a rally of
Mhm,
sorts, but that would be a low odd spring. I wouldn't be looking
mhm.
to
Yeah.
potentially trade that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't trade the sprint either, even though, I'm much
We can see
crazier
it.
than you in trading. You know that. So like sometimes I would go and, catch those, fallen knives. But I don't see anything here, not in terms of like, oh, is it gonna attempt to rally? Yeah, it shows
It
some
may do.
demand. This is in itself already an attempt to rally of the support level, but what's the potential here?
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
kind of
this is the
limited
key.
40 points, and having that against you, it's just a low odd spring.
Mhm.
This kind of action approaching a support level is the exact opposite of what I want to see, considering
Mhm.
right from here everything's climactic. Everything sorry, is of weakness. So no, certainly
William,
not.
another point here. Let's discuss the character because when we look at this initial change of behavior that leads, to the
Hmm.
transition from the uptrend to the downtrend,
Yep.
then we look at the continuation and we said, yeah, there is a swing trade here. Maybe it's not kind of like as good in terms of the character, but still it was available. This is definitely a really great,
Yep.
change in the character where we see not only expansion of the effort, we also see the expansion of the character in the result, right? So in the downward spread, these are one of the best spreads, at least this one right here, that we have had since this
Hmm.
bar right here. So this well, first of all, just like, character diminishes slightly, character expands